Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hey,
Hiya.
wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am Joe Panther III, and good morning, everybody, and good afternoon in the UK. I have a young lady that came on the podcast back in the day. She was making her mark, and she was putting the gas down, and slowly lighting the fuse for herself. Let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside return to my friend and yours, Summer. Welcome back to Dudes at Ringside.
Hi. Love to be back, and let's get this show on the road, eh?
Yeah. So, what have you been up to, buddy, since the last time you were in the studios?
Well, me and my partner have made our own promotion since we last spoke. Firestar Championship Wrestling. We've had a baby. We've basically had a blast doing all these shows, and so we've pretty much done quite a lot since we last spoke.
Yeah, I was so when you said that we were messaging, you were saying that to me. I was just like, oh my gosh, this girl's amazing. She's doing so many things now. I felt I had to have you back on, and like, so do you feel that like now that you're the one in the chair writing the shows, do you feel like there's like a different level now with you and your partner with wrestling now? Is it a different level now for you?
It feels like we're on a bit of a different level, to be honest, because you get to be like obviously in the background of it now, where you can actually be like, I'm not a fan of this person. This person could be put with, say, this wrestler, or like I could be looking out for certain female wrestlers, like on my Instagram, for instance, and I could be like, oh look, Rob, we can maybe try out this female, because I want to push obviously the female wrestling as much as I can, and I do still wrestle on the shows, but sometimes like when it comes into like having like the women's championship belt and stuff like that, it's like I don't want to be put on that pedestal. I'd rather put someone else on there, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I can push other females, because that's what I want to do. I don't want to be like one of those glory hounds type person who's like, I want to be the top of my own promotion. You know what I mean? I'd rather have someone else be the pedestal girl, so to speak, for our championship. You know what I mean? Mm. Yeah.
So with your new promotion, have you who are some of your champions? If any, my fans are familiar with any of your champs.
Well, we've got Martin Kirby as our Euro heavyweight. We've got two out there guys in Anarchy Inc. for our tag team champions. We've got, who else have we got? We've got Callum Mid-Jakester, who was our open weight. We've got no female women's champion right now. That's going to be decided on the 12th of July between myself and Scarlett. So we'll soon see. And it's
Scarlett,
a stipulation.
She's been on the podcast before. She's a tough character right there. That's a
double. Oh yes. And then we've got our Calder Valley champion, Sophia Sword, who is going to be defending it in the August show, I believe, in a fatal four-way.
So you have two women's titles. That's cool.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So that other one's kind of like the. I'm sorry.
No, go on, carry on. No, go on.
It's like the old friends talking at the bar, exactly like I told us before
Yeah.
um, it's as you could, I could probably say it's either like the U.S. or Intercontinental title, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Because we want to push our women's division. We did have women's tag team champions, but it was a lot harder to find like 4 women for each match. So we discontinued those. And then that's when we brought the Calder Valley in to be like the replacement, to be like, look, ladies, you know, if you're not wanting to be in the main spotlight, you can be like not a downgrade. It's definitely not a downgrade. It's like it's still on par with being obviously the top women's champion. It's just you get with the Calder Valley, you get more opportunities to defend it more in like other venues. Whereas with the women's championship, we can't really defend it as much because we don't want too many women on the show, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, have you ever thought of like doing in the future with your promotion, doing like an all women show for like one night only?
Well, to be honest, we were actually thinking about that. I think I'm pretty sure you read my mind, to be honest, because Rob was saying it the other week. He was saying, we could maybe take a chance on doing like an all women's show and have like both of the titles on the line and loads of action, and obviously have the women be the center of attention for a change. And we actually are thinking about it. It's just when it will happen, it'll probably be more next year more than anything.
Yeah, that's why I always say we share each other's sandwiches. Like me and Rob, we share each other's sandwiches. We like the same rock music.
And we actually are pretty much. When it will happen, it'll probably be more next year more than anything.
Yeah. I think that's cool that you're considering doing, you and Rob are considering doing that. Like,
yeah,
I find that really awesome. It's cool to know that you guys think the same way, because I love women's wrestling. I've interviewed a lot of awesome women's wrestlers from the UK and the States. I could throw some names out there if you're ever looking for any wrestler. Hey Rob, welcome. Rob's here.
I might have known you from gate crashing.
Yes. He's a rocker. Of course he's gonna find his way through the side door. He's gonna be like, I'm here. Oh man, I thought I locked that door.
Yeah, funnily enough, you actually reminded me about the men's Calder Valley Championship as well. We've got the men's variant as well, which is held by my stepson, KT Gold. I'm not sure if you've already spoken to him, because he said he was speaking to you on Messenger on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I remember Casey Gold. Yeah, I remember Casey Gold.
Yeah, he's our men's Calder Valley champion at the minute.
Well, also, guys, I don't know if I mentioned this to you on Instagram. You and Rob. Well, I'm technically talking to you, Rob, because Rob's in the chat on Facebook. I am doing UK Wrestling Month in August, and maybe I could have you two come back on, and it could be a spotlight for your promotion.
It could be, yeah. Yeah,
we can have you on. We could have Rob together. The other people could be like in the separate rooms like this. Like I'm in my house in America, and you could be like, and you and Rob could be in your living room or wherever you guys could do the show.
Yeah,
and we could have you choose some wrestlers that you think that would want to do a show, and we could do it. You could talk about their championships, talk about their journeys, stuff like that. Represent your promotion.
Yeah, that'd be something good. Yeah. Just give Rob a message.
Yeah, just hit Rob up. Rob, just hit me up on Instagram or Facebook under the Real Dudes At Ringside, and we'll set up a Sunday that's appropriate for all of us, and we'll make this a fun thing.
Yeah, two right.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So have you changed your gear over how there's like origins, like Marvel has origins of like the character's gear? Like,
yeah.
Have you changed your gear since you first debuted in any way?
Well, I've gone a bit more vivid in me colours. Like funnily enough, my very first gear was sparkly blue.
Oh, wow.
It didn't work very well for myself. So then I ended up going to bright orange, as in like my hair. So I was like, well, blue's not gonna work. So I ended up going like a bright orange tartan instead, and I mixed it with like I did half and half. So like half's like orange tartan, then half's black, and then I got a new one that's on. Funnily enough, that's on the background of this podcast
Yeah.
with skulls, like orange skulls, and then I've also gone a bit more further afield by going for punk style. I'd say punk style graffiti teddies, which is
Okay.
a mixture of yellow and orange. So yeah, I've gone a bit wild since I've come back from having the baby.
That's cool. I like that now you're like, does it, when you go to shows now, do you have, do you bring your son with you, or do you have someone watch him like the day of the
No,
show?
we're all a unit with our shows, our actual Firestar shows. He gets given a playpen, and he literally just like plays in there, and he watches the show, and his nana looks after him as well, because she tends to do like like the ticket sales on the door. So he's just a little bit behind her, or next to her, and he just sits in there and enjoys his own company. And when he sees us like at the intervals and stuff, so we all go as a unit really, which
Wow, that's
again is
cool.
another thing, another good
Do,
thing.
so like, I guess there's like, are there like other little kids there so he could play with them and stuff like that? Other wrestlers' kids?
Um, he does have one friend in particular. She doesn't come that often, but when she does, they play together. But most of the time, it's just him with his toys, and he doesn't really. He likes interacting with the wrestlers more than anything, like all the adults, because he's a very big speaker. Like he loves to chat your head off. If we've got a long drive, he's literally chatting about absolutely anything and everything.
That's
He's
good.
he's an absolute delight. He can be a menace sometimes, but he's an absolute delight.
You think maybe in the future he'll take the reins of you and Rob and be like a backstage interviewer or like a ring announcer?
Well, the way he roughhouses with his brother, I think he might actually be a wrestler. But he's loving cars at the minute, so I don't know whether he might actually be something to do with cars, like a mechanic or something like that. But if he doesn't want to be a wrestler, then fair game. But either way, I'll support him whatever he wants to do.
Yeah. Like, wait, when he gets old enough, because I know in the States you could start in UK. I've heard from like Matty Morgan and other wrestlers like that. You could start wrestling at like 13, or is it 10?
Yeah,
Right?
with training, it depends where you want to go. If you want to start like at Firestar, for instance, our age limit is 10. 10, obviously 10 upwards to whatever age. Anything below 10, I think it'll be a little bit hard on them because they've got the attention span of a fly. So I think 10's probably the best age to start teaching. And then maybe when they're a bit older, like say maybe about 12 or 13, maybe start doing a bit more high impact, like like taking cross bodies or not cross bodies, scoop slams even, like little power moves and stuff to take for them to feel what it's like when they're a bit older. And we just take it from there, really.
Yeah. It's something when the younger generation, like the younger kids, like your son and like people that go, the younger kids, that kids of a wrestler, they want to do it. Like, do you ever look at your son and say, wow, he could be our next junior weight champion if he really wants to do it,
If he wanted to, and he's actually willing to put in, like, obviously the manpower of, like, obviously the training, making sure you know how to bump safely, you know how to build a character and bring actually like stick to like a set routine of like training and stuff, then I believe he could do it if he wanted to. But if he trained a little bit and was like, no, mum, it's not for me, I could be like, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to follow in our footsteps if you don't want to. You can go and be your own person, so to speak.
Yeah. Are there any other female wrestlers that you've been looking at on the scene that you want to like maybe recruit to 5-star?
Well, we're currently having a funnily enough, she's returning from having medical issues, but Hannah Taylor, she's making her debut at Firestar very soon, hopefully. But she's been in contact with Rob, saying she wants to come and put her name forward for being obviously the women's champion or the Calder Valley, and we've just said we'll see you down the road because we've got a few. I'm not sure what date we've got her booked for, but she's the one that's caught our eyes so far, like
Wow,
in the
yeah.
independent scene.
Shout out to Hannah Taylor, girl. Good luck. Good luck on your return. Like, hey, you never know. Hannah Taylor could be the next women's champion. Like
Yeah,
I
you
know
never know. Yeah,
it could be she could pop into your match, be like, "Hey, I'm coming back," and then, like drop the mic.
pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Now just bring it on.
there you go. Hannah, she's looking at you. So, have you guys traveled in any other parts of the UK for 5-star? Or are you guys at like exclusive, like certain areas you guys go to?
Well, for Firestar, we're like sticking with like the Calderdale area, whereas like it's like Halifax, Leamount, and Greetland are like all in our little catchment area, and we're making our one more show in Brighouse, which is about 30 minutes away from us. So we're trying to stick in like the Calderdale area, as like from history we're like the first wrestling company in about 30 years that have actually made it in Calderdale. As in Ripponden, we came back since Giant Haystacks and obviously the Big Daddy, and we when we made our first ever Ripponden show, we did the Big Daddy Memorial, and that was an absolute blast. And we've not had one again since, but we are thinking of like expanding a little bit further, like I said, in the other venues. And yeah, it's just a massive whirlwind at the minute because we've got that many dates this year to blast out. It's like I'm getting completely confused of where we are, but we're in our little catchment area, and we're just loving it at the minute. It's a little bit stressful when obviously a few people can't make it, but we reevaluate on who's free and who's not, and we'll just be like, well, you're free, you can work this one, you're this one, and you're this one. So it can be a bit stressful being like co-owner and stuff. That's why I leave it to Rob.
Yeah, that stuff. You'll just ban the ladies. Be like, okay, we're doing this, guys. You do that. Like,
yeah, pretty much. Like the ladies come with me, guys. Go and do your stuff over there. In the nicest possible way, of course.
Yeah. Have you guys ever found like a really small venue that you're like, maybe this could be good for wrestling? I just got to see where the backstage area is,
Yeah, we've got one in Leamount. The changing rooms are not as big as you'd want them to be, but if you're professional enough, you make it work. And with us, we always pre-warn if we've got like a bulk load of guys coming. We say, look, we apologize if it's a little bit snug. Just maybe take it in turns with obviously getting changed, or like if you've got a bit of space, like move your stuff into that space and then let someone stand next to you, or you know what I mean. We always compromise, and nobody's complained about the size of the change rooms as of yet. Thankfully, not. But we provide with every show we do. We provide our wrestlers with 2 crates of water to make sure everyone stays hydrated, and we've got a safeguarding team. So like if anyone sees anything untoward, or like I don't know, one of the guys for instance says something to I don't know, to one of the females, for instance, the female can be like, I'm not sure how I go about this, but they go to the, the safeguarding officer and be like, look, this has happened, and then we deal with it. Thankfully, we've not had to, but they are there to protect everyone, regardless if it's, if it's something petty, then obviously we'll still take it serious. Like if someone calls someone like a funky name, a very colourful name or something, I'm not going to say it because I'm not like that. But we can always say, look, can you, nip your language in the bud? It's not very nice for people to hear that. You know what I mean? So we've got all the things in place to make sure everyone feels safe, whether you are male or female, and that's what we strive to do. We strive to keep a safe environment for every walks of life.
Yeah, it's always good to have everybody feel comfortable at the show, not just the guys, also the women, because I know women's wrestlers, as we mentioned before, they really don't get the credibility and the clout that they deserve because they bring half of the bill. Like, as your show, you've got 2 women's titles. Well, 3, but one got disbanded. Do you ever feel that sometimes your women's rosters sometimes doesn't get the crowd? Sometimes you think that the crowd's going to give you more of the cheers, and then they don't, and then they should really give it more to the women's roster?
Sometimes, say, a couple of the women we've had, they've went out, they've had a smasher of a match, and they're a little bit disheartened because sometimes there's always going to be that one person or that one kid or that one little girl or whoever that says something like, that wasn't very good, or what was that? Like how kids do. Sometimes they don't understand how moves work, and sometimes, obviously botches happen, but sometimes they come back and they're a bit like, oh, I've ballsed it up a little bit, and I'll be like, well, did you enjoy yourself though? And they go, well, yeah. And I was like, well, it doesn't matter that 1 or 2 people have said, they didn't understand the move or they don't understand why that happened. You still worked your ass off, and I'm very proud of you. And that's what I say to them, because even to the guys, when we're doing ring down and a couple of the guys or whatever say, oh, I thought this match was a bit rubbish because I didn't do so and so and so and so. And I'd be like, well, you still worked your asses off. You still had fun. You still had the crowd behind you. You know what I mean? Some of our roster members do have a bit of self-confidence issues. And I'm like, dude, preaching to the choir, you know what I mean? And it is a hard sport because if you don't get over with the crowd, you don't really know where you belong. But if you take your time and reinvent your character or reinvent yourself, personally, come out with something a bit more jazzy, or you know what I mean? And some of the wrestlers are like, oh yeah, I'll take that on the chin. And a couple of our guys have actually said, oh, thanks for the advice, Rob. Because Rob's been helping 2 trainees, well, not trainees, but they've been training for a while, and their characters went non-existent. Whereas Rob was like, well, one's like Prince Charming now. His name's Charming Charlie Maine, and he comes out in a really lovely masquerade mask with a big blue cape, and he comes out like like Mr. Know It All, and he just flicks his hair around, and he was never like that when he was in his previous training place. Whereas Rob's given him a character and he's actually run with it. So if you ever get a chance, or I'll give you his name, obviously once we've finished chatting, I can give you his name, and he'd be a really good one to speak with, because he literally had no character, but now he's been given this platform and he's absolutely running with it, and it's really humbling. That's especially cool. With Rob. Rob's grinning from ear to ear when he sees him every time.
Awesome. I'm glad to have see Rob back in the chat, because it's been a while since we actually saw each other and like
Yeah.
spoke and stuff like that. I remember you guys still when you were doing like the merch table, you guys just had like the coffee mugs. You had a coffee mug, he had a coffee mug.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
remember last time. Let's go into your merch now. What kind of merch do you offer if like someone comes up to the table and they want to buy something from you?
Well, I've got my t-shirt. That's one of the designs. It's obviously the Fiery Vixen Summer Rain with me blasting through with a giant kendo stick.
Yeah.
And then I do have others that's like bright orange, but I don't have that on me right now. But I've also got fridge magnets, and I've got the coffee mugs as well. And I'm gonna have to get more promo pictures printed. But I've got like a nice little array of stuff, but I haven't managed to get more done as of yet, as I've been more wrestling than doing anything at the minute.
Yeah, I get
So
that. There's some other female
yeah,
wrestlers that I could think that you would be really cool on your 5-star roster. We got Kiara, which is
yes,
possibly yes.
yes, yeah. She's good. Yeah,
She's a really I
yeah.
love Kiara. She's besides certain people like when me and you talk we're talking on Instagram.
hmm
Kiara, she's cool. Alfie, that's another name.
Yeah, Alfie's already wrestled for us. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love
She's
Alfie.
absolutely amazing. She's so quirky, it's unreal.
And Dee Dee. Can't forget about Dee Dee.
Oh no, Dee Dee as well. Sorry, I do apologize if you're not watching Dee Dee, but yeah, definitely.
Dee Dee just threw a fit.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was like, she didn't forget you. Trying to work with Alfie again. We were supposed to work, and then something came up, and she couldn't do it. And I was just like, oh. I made the.
But no, you'll catch her. I'm pretty sure you'll catch her another day.
Yeah, I need Dee Dee. I need to because I even made the poster. The poster's on my phone in the
Mhm.
hidden. So I'm like, oh. Every time I go, oh.
Wouldn't it be weird now if you end up coming off here and you've got a message from her?
That'd be awesome.
That'd be
Or just-
that'd be absolutely amazing.
I'd be like, look, I screenshot it. You did it. You did it. She's somehow watching. She's like, or Dee Dee. It'd be funny. Dee Dee was watching on his own little laptop. Just like it's a picture of Alfie with Dee Dee's right there, and
Yeah.
staring at the computer. Like, and
No, I think that would be a bit crazy if Dee Dee was working his own laptop. Because then I think he'd be. Well, no, you never know. Aliens these days, you never know.
Did you wrestle her when she wrestled for 5-star or no?
No, I didn't. But Leonie Rose did, and Hayden Morgan.
Hayden Morgan, okay.
Yeah. So I haven't had a chance yet, but I think I will in the new year. I think
she's another good one. She's another good egg. She was the very first person from the UK to ever send me a T-shirt.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It makes me every time I look at the T-shirt, I smile. I go like, because I'm like, people are like, who's this Alfie person? I was like, oh, it's her shirt that she has with her face. It says Siren of the Spear, and I wear it. And people go, how do you have a T-shirt from the UK? And I was like, I talk to professional wrestlers from all over the world. And they're like, how did she send you a T-shirt? And I'm like, well, it was the funny story. I said, I'll send you a sticker. And she said, I'll send you a T-shirt. And I say, how does that work? And I wrote, how does that work? How is that a fair trade? Like a piece of tape with my face on it for a T-shirt. And someone told me, Joe, shut up and just take the shirt. Like,
it is quite an odd trade, but it is a good trade if that makes sense.
Yeah. Before we go, if my fans actually want to buy any merch from you or follow you on social media, how can we find you?
Well, I have an Instagram account called the Fiery Vixen Summer Rayne. I've got my Facebook is I think it's just Summer Rayne, or if it's not, it's Summer Rayne Wrestler. And I've got a YouTube is Summer Rayne as well. So I don't have TikTok because I can't stand it, but you know. But
I
I'm
like
mainly
it. I
I'm
like
main,
the promos. I like putting my like if you made a promo for the podcast, I'll stick it right on TikTok and I'll put it on the notes on the Instagram page on the YouTube channel and stuff like that.
but yeah, no, I'm not a fan of TikTok, but I'm mostly active on obviously the Instagram, the YouTube, and obviously Facebook. Obviously, I usually link everything together. So if I've got a new video, like a new match coming out, I usually copy the link into my Facebook and into my Instagram, so you guys can obviously catch up on what Summer Rayne's doing. Um, but with Instagram, like I said, it's just the Fiery Vixen, Summer Rayne, and obviously that's updated as much as I can possibly do. Um, and if you give us a follow, then I'll try and get back to you and follow you back. But either way, you'll be able to see what I'm doing.
So if my fans want to buy any T-shirts, is there any websites my American fans could go on and purchase anything?
It'd be more contact me direct via Instagram or Messenger, obviously through Facebook. I haven't got a website up as of yet, but when I do, obviously Instagram will be the first to know because I'll put the link in me bio.
Okay, awesome. Summer, I want to thank you so much for coming back on. Thank you so much for sharing your journey since you've been returned from having your baby. It's so
Well,
awesome to see you flourishing and having fun with this. And yeah, Rob, if you're still in the chat, I hope you're still there. Joe, I say hi, thank you. There's one person he probably left. He's like, "That's it, I'm gone."
yeah, probably.
He's like,
But no, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to obviously to be back and for you to know how I'm doing, and
yeah.
we'll rearrange one time for myself, Rob, and maybe one or two of our roster members to come and gate crash.
Yeah, definitely, that'd be fun. But thank you so much, Summer. I'm Joe Panther III,
And I'm Summer Rayne.
and we will catch you in the next one.
Cheers.